Hey everybody, this is the FTCE ESE test. This is part 3. We're starting on question 76. What is the objective of all behavior change? Increased instructional time in the classroom, all students learning in a safe, peaceful environment, benefit the students' self-discipline and self-control, increase test scores, and district rating on a score sheet. Correct answer is C. Benefit the student's self-discipline or self-control. Benefit the student's self-discipline or self-control is the correct answer. The objective of the behavior change is directly related to the student obtaining control of his or her behavior. Increased instructional time, choice A. Provide a safe and peaceful environment for learning, choice B. And increased test scores, choice D, are all worthwhile but not the overall goal. Question 77. The first step of the behavior change process is to A. Collect baseline behavior. B. Select a target behavior. C. Identify reinforcers. D. Evaluate the effectiveness of intervention. 77 is A. Collect baseline behaviors. Collecting baseline behavior is the first step in initiating behavior change. Select a target behavior, identify reinforcers, and evaluate the effects of the intervention. Choices B, C, and D are steps that follow the initial steps of behavior change process. Question 78. An exceptional student educational teacher and a general educational teacher will be co-teaching a second grade class, and they are planning activities for the first day of school. Which of the following strategies would be most effective for the teachers to use in promoting positive interaction between students? A. Creating questions for students to use in interviewing each other to find out specific information, then having those students share the results of those interviews with the whole class. Choice B. Asking each student to bring in a favorite family photo to post on a classroom bulletin board. Choice C. Pairing students who are known to be quiet with students who are known to be more outgoing, to work together on various tasks and play together at recess. Choice D. Assigning students to write a paragraph about their likes and dislikes to read aloud to the entire class. 78 is A. Creating questions for students to use in interviewing each other to find out specific information, then having students share these results with the entire class. Because creating interview questions ahead of time allows students to have a degree of comfort with a known quantity with students they are unfamiliar with, and allows for teachers to work together to plan for their students. Having students post pictures, however, may be fun and interesting, but it may be a source of embarrassment to students who come from different social economic backgrounds. Okay, let's go to question 79. Kathy and class of 12th graders in her Biology 2 classroom, she notices that one of her students, Lewis, is acting silly and being very disruptive. Kathy realizes that Lewis is seeking out attention and will attempt to engage in class in disruptive behavior. What strategy would best be used by Kathy in this scenario? A. Extinction. Ignore the disruptive behavior by the teacher and the whole class. B. Using a social script to highlight desired behavior. C. Using differential reinforcement throughout the day. D. Providing social skills instruction to the entire class. 79 is A. Extinction. Ignoring disruptive behavior by the teacher and the class. Ignoring disruptive behavior is the correct answer. Question 80. A fourth grade teacher is concerned that an English language learner's academic achievement is significantly below grade level. The pre-referral team decides to try to provide the student with an aid to translate assignments. The teacher is also asked to keep anecdotal records regarding the student's information and informal verbal interactions with classmates. The pre-referral team's actions are likely to be most useful for providing information about A. Whether the student's academic difficulties are related to language difference. B. Whether the student is motivated to achieve in school. C. Whether the student's learning style is comparable with the teacher's instructional style. D. Whether the student is exhibiting a delay in social emotional development. 80. Correct answer is A. The major concern of the pre-referral team should be the language skills as they relate to academic performance, as this may be causing other behaviors exhibited in the classroom. Motivation, social, emotional development, and learning style compatibility might be studied if it's discovered that language is not the problem. 81. The ability to read restaurant logo is one of the first literacy accomplishments of a preschool child. This happens in which development of the word learning? Partial alphabetic phase, full alphabetic phase, consolidated alphabetic phase, pre-alphabetic phase. If I was to narrow down the options, I would say D, pre-alphabetic phase. Is D. Pre-alphabetic phase is the correct answer. In partial alphabetic phase, choice A, children develop some knowledge about letters and can detect letter-sound relationships. In full alphabetic phase, choice B, readers identify words by matching all the letters and sounds. In consolidated alphabetic phase, choice C, readers can segment the words and analyze multi-syllabic words. 82. When children can unlock the punctuation of unknown words, they are in the A. Pre-alphabetic phase, B. Partial alphabetic phase, C. Full alphabetic phase, or D. Consolidated alphabetic phase. And for 82 is C. Full alphabetic phase. Full alphabetic phase refers to the reader's ability to identify words by matching all the letters and sounds. Pre-alphabetic phase, choice A, involves recognizing words at sight due to visual or context clues. Partial alphabetic phase, choice B, involves the ability to develop some knowledge about letters and detect letter-sound relationships. In consolidated alphabetic phase, choice D, readers can segment words and analyze multi-syllabic words. Question 83. When a teacher says, "I'm thinking of words that end with the same sound," listen to the words tan, fan, man, and ran. The teacher is modeling A. Rhyming, B. Segmenting speech sounds, C. Blending speech sounds, D. Adding printed letters. 83 is A. Rhyming is the correct answer. Segment speech sounds, choice B, would involve separating each sound in words. Blending speech sounds, C, involves taking each sound and blending them to create a word. Adding print letters, choice D, involves adding the visual of printed letters with the sound. Question 84. The correspondence between letters and sound is known as A. Morphemic, Yes. A. Morphemic. B. Graphophemic. C. Syntax. D. Semantic. 84 is B. Graphophemic. Graphophemic is the correct answer. Letters and graphemes and sounds are phonemes. Their corrected is graphophemic. Morphophemic is the combination of sounds that have meaning. Syntax refers to the study of rules and how they dictate how parts of sentences are combined. Semantic refers to the study of the meanings of words in language. 85. Researchers who have studied children's acquisition of English grammar morphemes have found that A. There is a great individual variation across children. B. Order of acquisition is determined by frequency, which each morpheme is heard. C. All 14 morphemes studied are mastered in the early ages of language development. D. Most children acquire the morphemes roughly the same order. 85 is D. Most children acquire morphemes around the same order. Research indicates that children learn English and master grammatical morphemes in periodic order, predictable not on the basis of frequency exposure but on linguistic complexity. Individual variations among children is incorrect, as research indicates that children do not acquire morphemes in a given order, not with the individual variations. Order of acquisition is incorrect, as frequency is not a determining factor of hearing morphemes. Mastery of morphemes is incorrect, as all 14 morphemes are not always mastered at an early age of language development. 86. Which of the following best practices would be most beneficial for middle school students struggling with fluency? A. Fluency Development Lesson, FDL. B. Support Reading Strategy. C. Cross-age reading. D. Oral reciting. 86 is C. Cross-age reading provides readers with a lesson cycle that includes modeling by the teacher, discussing the text, supplying opportunities for practicing reading the text, and reading the text to younger children. Fluency Development Lesson, FDL, supports reading strategy and oral recitation, recitation, are excellent practices in primary grades. 87. Which of the following activities would best teach vocabulary acquisition in depth? A. Defining the word. B. Restating the definition in the student's own words. C. Finding an antonym. D. Fitting the word in a sentence. 87 is B. Restating the definition in the student's own words. Restating the definition in his or her own words is applying the knowledge. Defining the word, finding the antonym, and fitting the word into a sentence, A, C, and D, although good activities, are nevertheless lower thinking activities. 88. Apple is to fruit as carrot is to vegetable is an example of A. Synonym. B. Antonym. C. Analogy. D. Multiple meaning word. 88C. An analogy explains the relationship that exists between two words. Synonyms refer to a word that is similar in meaning to another word. So remember, an analogy explains the relationship that exists between two words. And an antonym is a word that is the opposite meaning of another word. And multiple meaning word refers to one word operating in different contexts. 89. Reflecting on what you've learned from the text, how well do you understand it as an example of prediction? A. B. Metacognition. C. Using a graphic organizer. D. Using a semantic organizer. 89 is B. Metacognition is the correct answer. Metacognition refers to thinking of one's own knowledge, mental capacities, and thought processes. Prediction, choice A, refers to thinking ahead and anticipating information and events in texts. Using a graphic organizer and using a semantic organizer, choices C and D, are visual representations of concepts and facts. 90. Lee is a first grade student with cerebral palsy who uses a communication board with speech output. He will soon begin receiving instruction in general education classroom for part of each school day. Which of the following steps would Lee's exceptional student education teacher take first to promote his communication skills within the new classroom environment? A. Assigning the student in the general education class to write questions about Lee's communication board and having him answer those questions on the first day of class. B. Asking the general education teacher to discuss with the class different ways to which people communicate, including using communication boards. C. Having Lee introduce himself to the general education class and explain how when he begins using the communication board. D. Ensuring that the general educational teacher understands how Lee uses the communication board before his transition into the class. I would say D. 90 is D. The general educational teacher needs to invest time in understanding Lee's general educational environment and how he is able to communicate. '91. If a student decodes words through regular letter patterns such as dish, fish, wish, and swish, which phonic instruction is the teacher using? A. Synthetic. B. Linguistic. C. Implicit. D. Analytic. 91 is B. Linguistic. Linguistic is the correct answer. It refers to learning to decode words through regular letter patterns. Synthetic is a part-to-whole phonics approach. Implicit and analytic, choices C and D, refer to whole-to-part approaches to word study. Question 92. Jim is a 7-year-old who often has difficulty communicating about topics that are not in his immediate environment. For example, while trying to describe his weekend trip with his family to an amusement park, he couldn't remember the words for roller coaster or Ferris wheel, so he called them the fast thing and the round thing. Based on this information, which aspect of language does Jim have difficulty with? A. Syntax. B. Phonological. C. Morphology. D. Semantics. 92 is D. Semantics. Semantics is the correct answer. Jim is having trouble finding the exact word that is associated with Ferris wheel. He is not having trouble sounding out the word, choice B and C, or describing the Ferris wheel, which would be choice A. 93. Julie is a third grader who often uses nonspecific words, thing, stuff, for specific words. Julie is most likely having a word finding problem, B, phonological deficit, C, receptive language delay, D, pragmatic deficit. 93 is A, word finding problem. Sandra is having difficulty finding the specific words. Phonological deficit, receptive language delay, and pragmatic deficit, A, B, C, and D, are incorrect, as Sandra does not have difficulty producing sounds or understanding word meaning. 94. When planning a language program for students with delayed language skills, begin by A, adhering closely to a language curriculum, B, determining what knowledge and skills a student has already acquired, C, focusing on receptive language before expressive language, D, focusing on expressive language before receptive language. 94 is B, determining what knowledge and skill a student has already acquired. So determining what knowledge and skill a student has already acquired is the correct answer. It is best to begin with a baseline and then expand with additional necessary skills, adhering closely to a language curriculum, focusing on receptive language before expressive language, and focusing on expressive language before receptive language occur well into language development. 95. Which of the following intervention is delivered to persons who do not yet show signs of a communication disorder? A, compensation, B, remediation, C, consultation, D, prevention. 95 is D, prevention is the correct answer, as the intervention provided is an attempt at avoiding a disorder from developing or an attempt to identify the disorder at an early age. Compensation, remediation, and consultation are incorrect, or these steps are performed once a disorder is already identified. 96. Any device that maintains or improves the function of an individual with disabilities is known as decoding, B, assistive technology, C, intervention methods, D, fluency. 96 is B, assistive technology. Assistive technology is the correct answer. Assistive technology refers to devices that are available to individuals with disabilities. Decoding, intervention methods, and fluency skill intervention and instruction, choices A, C, and D, are not always appropriate devices for instruction. 97. Conventional word processing programs, closed captioning, and text telephones for students who are deaf or hearing impaired are considered which of the following? A, sign language, B, speech impairments, C, communication supports, B, Braille. 97 is C. Communication supports include conventional word programs, closed captioning, and text telephones. Sign language and Braille are supports for vision impaired students. Speech impairment is a disability. 98. Which concept is found in the pre-reading stage of reading development? A, decoding, B, concept of print, C, alphabetic principle, D, fluency. 98 is B, concept of print. Concept of print is the correct answer. Decoding, alphabetic principle, and fluency, choices A, C, and D, are concepts of the learning to read stage of reading development. 99. Differentiated small group reading lessons are characterized by A, Group memberships that remain consistent throughout the school year. B. The use of different text and activity levels for each group. C. A focus on oral language activities. D. The use of standardized assessments. 99 is B. The use of different text and activity levels for each group. Question 100. When a student frequently read oral and when they read orally, they face criticism for being incorrect, they A. Pay little attention to the meaning. B. Learn to read words fluently. C. Develop automatic recognition of words. D. Learn to use the context as meaning of word identification. A. Pay little attention to the meaning. Paying little attention to the meaning is the correct answer. With ongoing criticism, a student will focus on how to pronounce words rather than focus on the content. Learning to read the words fluency, development automatic recognition of words, and the learning to use context as a means of word identification are incorrect, as these choices would be the preferred outcomes of reading fluency. 101. Recent, widely accepted research on reading instruction indicates that A. There is no instructional difference due to method. B. The whole word method has produced somewhat better results. C. There is not enough statistical data to arrive at a conclusion. D. Underlying skills such as phonemic awareness and facility with letter-sound correspondences are crucial. D. Underlying skills such as phonemic awareness and facility with letter-sound correspondences are crucial. Underlying skills such as phonemic awareness and facility with letter-sound correspondences are crucial factors in effective reading instruction. There is no instructional difference due to methods. Choice A. The whole word method has produced somewhat better results. Choice B. And there is not enough statistical data to arrive at a conclusion. Choice C. Do not address current, successful, proven choices in reading instruction. (102) Progress monitoring students with curriculum-based measures allows teachers to A. Assess students' higher-order thinking skills. B. Revise the intervention if it is ineffective. C. Work with smaller groups of students. D. Effectively utilize all specialists in the classroom. B. Revise the intervention if it is ineffective. Revise the intervention if it is ineffective. Progress monitoring is a teaching tool used for accuracy, defining where the intervention should be conducted. Assess students' higher-order thinking skills. Choice A. Work with smaller groups of students. Choice C. And effectively utilize all specialists in the classroom. Choice D. Are incorrect, as these responses do not directly include progress monitoring and measuring instruction and interventions. 103. Which form of assessment is designed to identify students' reading strengths and weaknesses? A. Screening. B. Progress monitoring. C. Diagnostic. D. Outcome. 103 is C. Diagnostic testing identifies the student's strengths and weaknesses. Screening is the initial stage of assessment. Progress monitoring refers to the monitoring of student skills and outcomes. Choice A, B, and D are incorrect as these refer to assessment and monitoring results. An exceptional student educational teacher meets twice a week with Carla, a ninth grader who has a learning disability. When reviewing the notes Carla has taken to prepare for a geography report, the teacher sees that they are excessively detailed and do not distinguish between major ideas and minor points. The teacher's best response in this situation would be to A. Show Carla how to use a more telegraphic style when she takes notes. B. Provide Carla with index cards to limit the amount of space available for note-taking. C. Remind Carla that she can use a photocopier for sections of a source that require extensive note-taking. D. Teach Carla how to use text headings and subheadings to focus her note-taking on key concepts. 104 should be D. The exceptional educational teacher needs to have Carla focus on the difference between major and minor content. Teaching Carla about headings is the best way to organize content and large amounts of information. The ESE teacher does not need to work on improving Carla's note-taking strategy, nor should Carla rely on the copier to provide her with notes, as this would prove to be a large amount of information to organize. And finally, the index cards are a good strategy for limiting information, but do not provide enough instruction for organizing the information in the first place. 105. Carla cannot read very well, but has an excellent speaking voice. After her group wrote a report on the 2016 presidential election, Carla was given the task of presenting the report to the whole class. Which statement best identifies this scenario? A. It gives the student responsibility. B. It gives the student a chance to show her strengths. C. It teaches the student to reinforce herself. D. It sets a reasonable goal for the student. 105 is B. The classroom scenario gives the student a chance to show her strengths. 106. Self-determination is one of the most important skills for students with disabilities who wish to pursue post-secondary education. Which attribute would not be a factor in succeeding in higher education? A. The student's increased self-awareness by investigating his or her disability. B. The student must have realistic goals. C. The student must have self-advocacy skills. D. The student must have appropriate academic preparation. A. The student increases self-awareness by investigating his or her disability is the beginning stage of career development and should begin in elementary school. Realistic goals, self-advocacy skills, and academic preparation, A, B, C, and D, are all necessary attributes to one's grades from one graduates from high school. (107) If a student is expressing an interest in attending karate class in a local YMCA, what type of instructional procedures could determine successful adaptation life skills at this location for the student? A. Interviews and questionnaires. B. Ecological assessment that involves carefully examining the environment in which the activity actually occurs. C. Complete a mapping form from the parents. D. Curriculum-based assessment. B. Ecological assessment that involves carefully examining the environment in which the activity actually occurs. Ecological assessment that involves carefully examining the environment in which the activity actually occurs is the correct answer, since the student is expressing interest in a specific location. Interviews and questionnaires, choice A, is incorrect as the student is not completing a questionnaire or interview. The student is specifically identifying a location and an interest. 108. 10th grade student with post-traumatic stress disorder will soon return to school after receiving 6 weeks of inpatient psychiatric care. The student is stabilized, but unrelated stressors have the potential of triggering angry outbursts and symptoms of depression. Which of the following strategies should the exceptional student education teacher implement first to prevent the student from experiencing unnecessary anxiety? A. Meeting with the student and reviewing the school's code of conduct. B. Requesting that the student's parents meet with their son each morning to review his daily schedule. C. Establishing a predictable routine for the student with advanced notices of changes. Let's say C. D. Providing a quiet area in the school where the student can go to calm down. 108 is C. For a student who just returned to school from PTSD, post-traumatic disorder, the best strategy is to provide a student with a reliable schedule and established routine. 109. An initial evaluation has been completed on a 4th grade student who has been struggling in mathematics. Based on the student's present level of educational performance, the Individualized Educational Program (IEP) team finds that the student is eligible for exceptional educational services. Which of the following components must be included in the student's IEP? A. A detailed plan for fully supporting the student's upcoming transition to 5th grade. B. A description of how the team plans to monitor the student's progress. C. A statement naming a designated service coordinator to implement the program. D. A statement reflecting the family's desired academic outcome for the student. Correct answer is B. A description of how the team plans to monitor the student's progress. For a 4th grade student, the initial IEP must include a plan for monitoring a student's progress. It is important that the teacher and the student can share and identify areas of math that the student may struggle in and see outcomes towards his goals. A transition plan, choice A, is not required in an IEP. Until the student is 14 or more, establish transition plan when the student reaches 16 years old. Primary responsibility for an IEP implementation will be the exceptional educational teacher, choice C. A statement from the parents, choice D, indicating their plan for their student's academic future may be included but is not required. 110. A 6th grade student with attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, ADHD, is having significant difficulty getting started on a long-term writing assessment given by her English language arts teacher. The student tells her exceptional student educational resource room teacher that she feels overwhelmed by the assignment and cannot find any information about the topic, and thinks she may not write the report. Which of the following responses from the exceptional student educational teacher will most likely be most effective in this situation? A. Asking the library media specialist to research and locate information for the student on her assigned writing topic. B. Working with the student and the English language arts teacher to break down the assignment into smaller, more manageable parts. C. Scheduling a meeting with the student and her parents to discuss her negative attitude towards the assignment. D. Suggesting that the English language arts teacher provide the student with a different topic for writing the assignment. B. Working with the student and the English language arts teacher to break down the assignment into smaller, more manageable parts. 111. A middle school English arts teacher, ELA, comes to the exceptional student educational teacher for advice about Anna, a student with a learning disability in writing. The ELA teacher says that while Anna writes fluently and has many original ideas, her inattention to punctuation makes her work difficult to read. The exceptional student educational teacher has worked with Anna on punctuation and seen significant improvement on exercises and drills in resource room. The exceptional student educational teacher's best response would be to suggest to the ELA teacher that A. Send Anna to the resource room to review final drafts for punctuational errors before submitting her work. B. Set a short period aside each day for Anna to work on punctuation exercises. C. Hold Anna accountable for punctuation errors while grading her work as articulated in the IEP. D. Have Anna and a classmate exchange final drafts and correct each other's punctuation errors. 11 is C. Hold Anna accountable for punctuation errors when grading her work, as articulated in the IEP. Anna can identify errors in the resource room and now needs to transfer those tools learned to her ELA classroom. Going to the resource room, choice A, for corrections would not be the appropriate choice, as Anna can already perform the corrections when in the resource room. Anna can already locate errors in her work, so pairing her with another student, choice D, in a setting aside time to go over the punctuations would not be an effective strategy. 112. It is the best practice for students to be active members of their IEP team. Select the best statement that describes the self-determination skills needed by students who are already actively involved. A. Students who are self-determined overcome fears and speak up for themselves regarding what they want in life and what is needed to succeed. B. Students who are self-determined do not need to be present during IEP meetings. C. Students who are self-determined are always punctual. D. Students who are self-determined allow other team members to make decisions for them. A. Students who are self-determined overcome fears, speak up for themselves regarding what they want in life and what is needed to succeed. 113. Which of the following activities would most likely be most difficult for an 8-year-old student with a mild intellectual disability? A. Recognize letters within his or her first name. B. Following basic 2-step oral directions. C. Using a previously learned skill in a new setting. D. Matching two similar objects together. C. Using a previously learned skill in a new setting. Students with a mild intellectual disability have difficulty transferring information from one setting to another. Students with mild intellectual disabilities have less difficulty with recognizing letters in their name, choice A, following 2-step directions, choice B, and matching two similar objects together, choice D. 114. The ultimate goal for young adults with disabilities is to be competitively employed. Which of the following statements is not a key characteristic that will increase the likelihood of successful employment outcomes for the students? A. Curriculum stressed functional skills. B. Opportunities to learn the interpersonal skills necessary to work effectively with colleagues are ample. C. Unpaid and volunteer work experience is valuable for students with disabilities. D. Prepare students with disabilities through career education at the high school level. D. Prepare students with disabilities through career education at the high school level. 115. James is investigating his company recreation center to determine what types of after-work activities he can participate in. He is considering playing team sports. He needs to look at how to sign up for these activities as well as how much it will cost him to participate. James lives in a residential living facility and is assisted by residential personnel. What essential domain of transitional planning activity is James involved in? A. Person social. B. General community functioning. C. Employment. D. Leisure and recreational. 115 is D. Leisure and recreational describes the leisure time domain presented in this scenario. Personal, social, general communication functioning, and employment are not included in the leisure time domain. 116. Which of the following activities would be included in the general community functioning domain of transition planning? A. Shopping, transportation, banking. B. Assessment plan, instruction, plan, evaluate. C. Assistive technology. D. Job shadowing, internship. 116 is A. Shopping, transportation, and banking relate to activities in the community. 117. Which activity would be included in the employment domain of transition planning? A. Attending the career fair at the community college. B. Speaking to the guidance counselor about vocational education. C. Developing budgeting skills with the ESE teacher. D. Receiving training in clothing care. 17 is A. 117 is A. Attending the career fair at a community college. Attending the career fair at the community college is the correct answer, as it involves knowledge of jobs available in the community. Speaking to the guidance counselor about vocational education. Developing budgeting skills with the ESE teacher. And receiving training in clothing care, choices B, C, and D, are activities presented in the remaining domains of transitional planning. 118. Vong is a 15-year-old sophomore of Hmong descent. He has ADHD and is often impulsive. He is easily distracted. He is included in most academic classes with peers. He is inquisitive and enjoys math and science. Vong's IEP team learned from a questionnaire that he and his family completed with the help of an interpreter that Vong enjoys NASCAR events and builds model race cars. His mother thought Vong might also enjoy high school cross-country team. As a result of this meeting, which of the following were added to Vong's IEP? 1. Vong will participate in a fitness class to prepare him for participation in the cross-county team. 2. Vong will enroll in a 6-week summer motorsports course. And 3. Vong will complete a self-monitoring behavior checklist at the end of the day of participation. So on 118, what type of transition planning does this describe? A. Self-determination for leisure and recreational planning for diverse cultural and linguistic backgrounds. B. Self-determination for vocational planning for diverse cultural and linguistic backgrounds. C. Self-determination for social economic planning for diverse cultural and linguistic backgrounds. D. Self-determination for gender planning for diverse cultural and linguistic backgrounds. 118 is A. Self-determination for leisure and recreational planning for diverse cultural and linguistic backgrounds. Self-determination for leisure and recreational planning for diverse cultural and linguistic backgrounds is the correct answer. Both cultural background and leisure planning are addressed in the paragraph. 119. Compared to a young child with normal vision, a young child with vision impairment is likely to find it significantly more challenging to A. Develop a sense of identity. B. Acquire incidental information from the environment. C. Maintain positive peer relationships. D. Comprehend concrete concepts through direct instruction. B. Students with visual impairments have difficulty finding information from their environment due to limitations in their visual ability. Okay, question 120. The process of individualized transition planning must encourage students to make many result-oriented decisions as students prepare to leave high school according to A. The Individual Disabilities Education Act, IDEA, 2004. B. No Child Left Behind Act, 2001. C. Goals 2000, Educate America, 1994. D. Vocational Educational Act, 1976. A. Individual Disabilities Education Act, IDEA, 2004. IDEA 2004 is the correct answer. IDEA specifically addresses post-school outcomes. No Child Left Behind, Educational Act America, Vocational Education Act are not correct as these involve funding, accountability, parental involvement, and math and science goals, but they do not specifically state that transition planning and post-school outcomes are needed. And that concludes the first test in the third video.